Good to go? Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Call the meeting to order. You want to start with roll call?
Dr. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Pepcorn? Here. Mr. Grinberg?
Here.
Mr. Vano?
Here.
Mrs. Sherling? Mr. Peterson?
Here.
Mr. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. Wayland? Ms. Williams? Mr. Hendrickson?
Here.
Mr. Paulson?
Here.
Mr. Thorsted? Here. Mr. Olson?
Here. Mayor Williams is gone today, right? She did
That's
some-
correct.
Going to Wild Minot or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Their motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the order of agenda?
So moved.
Second. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 4, Executive Director Search Update. Mike Redlinger to give it. Been making some good phone calls, getting some progress made.
Yeah, we are. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Authority. Appreciate the time this afternoon. I'm just going to provide a real brief overview of our schedule that we've developed for our executive director interviews. And that is in front of you in paper form. I don't have a PowerPoint today, but want to talk about a couple of goals for our process. You know, goal number 1 was really to create some good connection opportunities for the Board of Authority to connect with these candidates, both formally and informally, and then also for our local technical team and our consultant teams, our legal counsel, and others to really get to know these candidates as they're here for the 2-day period later this month. So the draft schedule lays out in front of you. Our candidates are arriving and are confirmed to arrive on Sunday, July 23. We don't have any formal structured activities that day, but the candidates are going to be receiving a briefing packet ahead of time from us. I'm working with Rocky Schneider and the AE2S group on that right now. And then the board is also going to be receiving a binder. In that binder for you as board members is going to be a background packet on the candidates, a referencing summary from our consultant, Pam Derby of CPS HR, as well as a schedule. And so all of this you're going to see again. It will be in final form. This schedule also exists in a 5- or 6-page version with all of our internal notes and all of our particulars for the hospitality reminders and things that we're going to be doing behind the scenes to make sure that the candidates are moved from point A to point B to point C with ease and that they have a good experience when they're here in Fargo, Moorhead. So after you receive the binders, you're going to have a few days to read that ahead of time. I think that all the referencing is going well with Pam right now. You will convene on Monday morning, July 24 at 7:30, and we'll meet here in the commission room, and after a very brief presentation from Pam, who will run through some slides and just give a process overview, we're going to have the candidates come through. And so on the top of page 2, you'll see that our very first candidate starts right away at 8:15. Well, the candidates are interviewing. One candidate's going to have free time, then another candidate's going to be completing a writing and critical thinking assessment. So we're doing some small scenarios of problem-solving tests, if you will. And so we're working through some scenarios right now, working with John Shockley, Rocky, others, with some really good sort of provocative questions that we want the candidates to think through and give us their assessment of how they would respond to a crisis issue or a governance issue or a technical concern that might happen while the project is underway. So again, this assessment is something a bit unconventional, but we thought it would be a good experience. If any of you have been through an inbox exercise in any kind of job applications, this is similar to that. So it's going to be a prioritization exercise. So the candidates will be completing that in a staggered fashion throughout the morning. You'll have a couple of break opportunities. You're going to stay here then later in the morning at 11:45. We're going to bring in lunch for the board here as you talk about process and next steps. And after the conclusion of the formal interviews, John Shockley will be a part of that as well. Our candidates are going to be going across the street over here to CH2M in the program office, where we're going to be doing a project briefing and then a project tour after that. We're getting a small bus, and then our local engineers, as well as the E2S staff, are going to go out on tour with the candidates and together take a look at the project area, take a look at the core project that's currently under construction, and really spend some time to give them a boots-on-ground view of what's happening here with the project and what will happen on the P3 delivery once that gets underway. They will have some break time, and then later that evening, the board is going to be invited along with all of our committee members and some of our other community members to a reception. We're going to be over at the Loretta Building in the Elevate Conference Room up on 4th floor. And we're going to do just a reception and opportunity for more informally the board to connect with the candidates. So the board's going to see the candidates in the morning. You'll also see them that evening in a more informal setting. And then on the next day, we're going to have some of the board leaders. We'll find a small group of leaders that will want to have breakfast with the candidates on Tuesday morning over at the Radisson. And then really these are some just briefings and presentations on the public-private partnership element to the program, as well as an opportunity for our local technical staff to, again, just kind of liaise with the candidates, try to understand what kind of questions they have and answer any questions or concerns that they have. The candidates are going to leave Fargo that afternoon, and then because it's a regular board meeting week, we will reconvene as a board on Thursday afternoon and talk about your preferences and the directions that you would like to go. If there's a clear candidate that you would like to pursue further, we can direct legal counsel and myself and our consultant to work with that candidate, or we could also be looking at second interviews if we want to invite a candidate, a preferred candidate, back to the area, and then also start working on other parameters that you might have for the employment agreement. So we'll have time to do that on that Thursday, so we will be noticing the potential for an executive session as well on Thursday the 27th. I've been working with John on that question, and the executive session privilege in North Dakota is only limited to the employment agreement term and condition issues related to compensation. You will actually be making the selection of your preferred candidate in public, and you will be doing that here around the board table on that Thursday if you're prepared and ready to make that decision. And if not, we'll regroup and determine next steps in the process. So I know in speaking with Pam, the consultants are eager to get here. They're very excited. She's had some great phone calls so far with references, and we look forward to providing a more in-depth briefing packet for you and making sure that your questions get answered. So I'm happy to speak to any elements of the schedule.
Any questions about the process? Board comfortable with this? In light of the fact that this person has to work with all our government entities, we feel it's really important that the board is engaged in this selection and you're comfortable with the candidate that is put forth as the candidate, because I think it's regardless of our background, and I think we have to be as open as we can about what our concerns are or what you may or may not like about the candidate. It does make it a little harder to do it all in public, but that's the way it is. If you discover something, you discover something.
Mike,
Tony?
maybe just comment maybe a little further. Are we as an authority going to have time with each candidate alone, or is this all going to be grouped through the entire process?
So your time alone with the candidates will be in the one-on-one interviews that the board will
morning.
have. And then the group will see the candidates later in the reception that evening. So, and then we're going to keep the candidates together just for the purposes of equity so that they get the same tour, the same briefing from the technical staff all at the same time. So there's no special favoritism there. Everybody hears the same briefing and same material at the same time.
Okay. And thanks everybody in advance for the commitment that day to take the time to go through this. I appreciate that.
And thank you for your support of the schedule. We'll email the final version of this out to the board so you've got a copy of that. Thanks for your participation.
Number 5, Resolution Wells Fargo Bank Loan Agreement. John's got that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Diversion Authority Board. Before you have a resolution authorizing Cass County and the City of Fargo to enter into loan agreements with Wells Fargo. A little bit of history. These two loan agreements will be for the purposes of refunding existing debt that's already been issued by Cass County and the City of Fargo. Last year, you'll recall, the City of Fargo and Cass County entered into a total of 4 agreements with Wells Fargo for 4 different $50 million loans for a total of $200 million. Cass County had used $50 million to prepay a prior loan, drew down additional $50 million for the project. City of Fargo had used $50 million to pay down a prior loan, and one of the City of Fargo loans had left remaining to be drawn down approximately $49,750,000. The new loans with Wells Fargo will simply refinance those existing loans. So instead of having 4 loans, we're going to go down to 2. So Cass County will have a total loan of $100 million. Fargo will have a $100 million loan, but only $50,250,000 will have been drawn down, with a remaining balance that can be drawn down of $49,750,000. Pursuant to the Joint Powers Agreement, the Diversion Authority Board is required to approve and consent to the issuance of debt by member entities for the project. So that is why it's before you for information and to consent to the issuance of debt for the project, because you'll recall the Diversion Authority sort of serves as a bucket where all the sales tax comes into, and then you make the payments for the project. So the idea behind the joint powers agreement is you have control over making sure that debt is being issued for the project and it's appropriate. The actual loans will go before Cass County and the city of Fargo on Monday for further review. It's a pretty straightforward transaction. It's really taking what we did last year, kind of cleaning up a few things and then putting it back for approval before Cass County and the city of Fargo. I can answer any questions. The interest rate is a little more competitive than it was last time. It's the calculation is more competitive. It's slightly higher because the LIBOR rate has been slowly rising over time. So they reduce the indexing calculation that the LIBOR rate is multiplied against, but the LIBOR rate has been rising a little bit. So it's still very competitive. It's an interest-only loan. This will buy us time to get the P3 bid in and then look at more of the permanent financing options.
So we need a motion, John, is that correct? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Mahoney?
Aye.
Mr. Peppercorn?
Aye.
Mr. Grinberg?
Aye.
Mr. Vano?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson?
Yes.
Mr. Paulson?
Yes.
Mr. Thorsted? Mr. Olson?
Contracting actions.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman of the Board. I'm Greg Bache from the PMC. I think we met last week, or last board meeting. Ty is safely on his way to Spokane now, so you will definitely start seeing me more. For today, my briefing portion, I'm only going to cover 6A through D, and I think Kevin can pick up on item E for me. So basically what I'm asking for on the contracting actions, I'm asking for approval for 2 contract awards, a change order, and then a continuing approval for the electric. These have already been briefed to the finance committee, and they've already recommended approval as well. So the first one you see is for work package 43CD, which is the northwest portion of the Oxbow levee. I can show you really quick on the map. So basically what we're asking for, that contract is everything that you see in blue. I will point out, though, that when you look at the letter for the recommendation of award and you look at the bid tab, there's slightly about $1 million difference. And the reason why there's $1 million difference is because alternate A was not awarded, and alternate A is what you see here in the green hashtags. We're still negotiating with the property owners for rights of entry, construction, easements, and things like that. So that was not approved prior to for us to recommend the award. So that portion is not being awarded with this contract. Thus, about $1 million difference there. On 28A, 28A is the realignment of 16 and 17. So what you're seeing here is basically what you see in yellow. Just orient you a little bit. Horace is sitting right here. The current core project is in this area here where the new inlet structure will be. So this is basically just routing the road around. And then there'll be a further contract come out later, taking the southern part of that project.
When will that be done?
That one I don't have the exact timeline with me. Right now I don't have the exact timeline on that one, but it is.
Perhaps this year, though, or?
No, it won't be done this year. Next is.
The road will be open.
Yeah.
This year there'll be a connection between County Road 16 and
17.
The roundabout will not be finished until next year, but the roads will be connected.
So you're asking about you're talking about 28A or the future work?
That one there.
Yeah, this one will be done this year. I thought you were asking about the future bit of it. So
No.
28A, yes, will be done this year.
People have had questions about it. So we want him to go through all the actions first? Next
Okay.
contract, go ahead. Why don't you finish all your
Okay.
contract?
Okay, so let me finish. So the next I'm asking for is a change order for work package 42F. This was briefed to the board last board meeting when I was talking about on cleaning up. This is one of the ones that we have a cleanup change order. There was an initial change order, which was change order number 1, that brought in, there was additional excavation for that on that change order. And this one here kind of cleans up the additional material that needed to be brought in, some sidewalk issues. It's all outlined in what you see in the packet. And then the last one is the reimbursement for the utility relocation. This is kind of an ongoing thing. We're putting that out incrementally as we go around Oxbow. So there's already were 2 prior ones. For the first bid, it was done on Oxbow, and then this will go and coincide with work package 43. Subject to any questions?
Any questions, board? Can I have a motion for 6A, B, C, and D?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Mahoney?
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn?
Aye.
Mr. Grinberg?
Aye.
Mr. Vano?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson?
Yes.
Mr. Paulson?
Yes.
Mr. Thorsted?
Yes.
Mr. Olson?
Yes.
Item 6E. Tony, do you have that, or who has that?
Mr. Redlinger and Kevin.
Kevin?
Yeah. Mike, do you want to start or not?
Just wrestle this one down, guys.
So I'll pinch hit for Rocky, Mr. Chair, and members of the board. So the Frederickson-Byron agreement is up for renewal. This is a very similar agreement to what has previously been approved by the board, a $3,500 a month term, and some new activity in Minnesota, additional activity with legislators and with outreach. Kevin can speak to that, as well as the other Minnesota folks at the Finance Committee. This was approved. There was one question, and I just want to note, Mr. Steen asked, and it's a good question, if we can get some additional written reporting, and I'm going to work with Rocky on that to make sure that that will happen. But I do know there's more activity with the Frederickson group right now on behalf of the project, and I defer to the Minnesota folks to speak to it greater.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Campbell?
Yes, we on the Minnesota side, I'm speaking both for the county commission and the Morehead City Council, really believe that this is more important than ever now to have this negotiated contract with these folks. I think they're going to be our eyes and ears, what's going on in the legislative session. They're going to work to help promote the project as we move forward with looking for funding from the state of Minnesota. And, I think if you look at the 9 bullet points there of things that they're going to do, number 2 itself is a really important one. And that's also to monitor any legislative activities that might be going on that could impact this project one way or the other. So, and right now, that's what we have for a source to help us monitor that. So we strongly encourage the Diversion Authority to support this.
Very good. Any questions?
And by the way, I think the question that Mr. Steen asked in the Finance Committee, one thing we can do, and I'll talk with the mayor, but we'll make sure that we request some sort of a periodic reporting so that we know what they've been doing. So that'll answer that question.
Okay. And do you want to give the motion?
Sure, I would move approval of item 6C.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Dr. Mahoney?
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn?
Aye.
Mr. Grinberg?
Aye.
Mr. Vano?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson?
Yes.
Mr. Paulson?
Yes.
Mr. Thorsted?
Yes.
Mr. Olson?
For other business, can you just report also, Kevin, the county and the city did send a letter to the governor regards to the DNR. Did you just want to report that? Rocky isn't here. So.
Yes. There was a letter drafted. It was originally started by the mayor and the Morehead City Council to send a letter to the governor encouraging him to get the Minnesota DNR back to the table in terms of the discussions with this working group and to keep moving forward with trying to come up with solutions. And, then I suggested that our county board also sign on to that, and both entities, I think Joel or Chuck can talk about that, but they voted and passed that resolution on Monday night to send the letter, and our county board did the same thing Tuesday morning. So I signed that letter on behalf of Clay County, and I'm assuming the mayor has as well, and that's in the mail.
Joel, it went okay in yours, or Chuck?
It was emailed this morning, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very good.
so, yep.
Thank you. Dawson, do you have anything to tell us? I know your company's been here about 100 years, don't you think, huh?
100
No.
years.
Now, in those 100 years, how many floods did your company fight, or how much did you lose in liability?
A few. More than I remember. But other than that, I don't have anything to report on our committee.
Oh, very
We've
good.
been pretty quiet.
Good. Any other business, team? Roger, are you doing okay, or are you in a drought?
We just had a little chuckle over here. That email that was sent
Yep.
probably should make return receipt requested, because you don't want it to end up in the spam file.
Sure.
Make sure that it gets to the government.
It will.
Yeah. Very good. Next meeting is July 27th, 17th. We got that all on our calendars. Any other business we need to have? I mean, it's going to be hard to get done earlier, guys. Come on. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried. Thank you very much.